Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just wanted to give you guys a quick Necromancer Bloodlance Summoner build guide. This is something that I kind of came up with on my own. It's kind of a homebrew build, and I've just been having a ton of fun with it, and there's so much room for variation. And I thought it would be cool to share with you guys if anyone's interested in running a build like this. This is a leveling build. As of right now, I'm still kind of leveling. This is my first Necro in D4, and I'm playing kind of casually with my girlfriend. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of take a break from just staring at build guides and do my own thing with this one. And I love the idea of summoner. And initially, I tried to make this a full-on summoner build, but it seems a bit lacking right now. The minions for summoner builds right now seem a bit lacking to go full summoner, so I decided to add in Bloodlance, and it's been great so far. I'm having a ton of fun with it. There's a huge room for potential, and I think it'll work well in the end game as well too. So I'm super excited for that. So I just wanted to share my thoughts and my opinions on the build, and show you guys some routes you could take if you are interested in running this build. Again, it's such a fun build, and I hope you guys have as much fun with it as I did. And if you guys are liking these types of videos, these leveling build guides, or if you'd rather see end game build guides, or maybe how this fares against Uber bosses and stuff like that, please let me know. I'm dying for some feedback here. But anyways, I hope you guys really enjoy this. And again, leave a comment, a like. It really helps out, and I can't wait to make more videos for you guys. So yeah, enjoy. All right, guys, let's get right into this build here. So I'm gonna go over the skill tree first, and then I will go over some aspects and some variation that you can do as far as the aspects and other skills, and kind of different ways you can go about doing this build if you want to stick with like the similar Bloodlance theme, Bloodlance Summoner theme. So this isn't going to be in any particular order. There's a lot of room for variation, and depending on what you want to do. Early levels, you could even start off with Blood Surge. It's a bit better on the AoE side of things until you get your aspects that this build really kind of relies on. So first, we're going to do Hemorrhage. I tried Bone Splinters at first, and it worked well, but once we start relying on Blood Orbs, we want to switch to Hemorrhage. We don't really use basic too much, but it is nice to have that filler every once in a while and the chance to spawn a Blood Orb. And again, this build is all based on spawning Blood Orbs with Lucky Hit and gaining AoE and resource that way. So anything that spawns as Blood Orbs, we're generally taking, which is a big reason why we take Corpse Tendrils over something like Corpse Explosion, as well as Blood Wave for our ultimate. So yeah, we're gonna do Hemorrhage, Enhanced Hemorrhage, and then we're gonna go down, pick up that good old Bloodlance. We're gonna get Enhanced Bloodlance and Supernatural Bloodlance. So Overpower, another huge part of this build. I mean, you could mess around with Paranormal Bloodlance, but the Overpower right now is just, it's a mainstay of a lot of builds, a lot of strong builds right now. It's very strong, and it works very nicely with this, the way that the AoE from the Bloodlance works and the way the piercing works. It allows us to do massive amounts of damage when we have some Blood Orbs available. So huge part of our build here. We also do take a lot of go into a lot of Paragon and a lot of aspects to scale off Overpower. So without that kind of aspect of the build, it wouldn't be super strong, I don't think. So definitely Supernatural Bloodlance. And then passives here, we're gonna take Imperfectly Balanced, huge 9x multiplier. This, you could, if you're having essence problems, this might be one of the first places to look. And it really kind of depends. We'll go into resource management and stuff like that in a little bit, but the bonus you get here is definitely worth the essence cost. So coming down from that, the Corpse and Macabre skills, we are only taking passives here. I've messed around a little bit with Blood Mist. I wasn't too much of a fan. I know there's some aspects you can get to kind of make this a lot better, but also I did try Bone Prison. Corpse Explosion is definitely a variation of this build that you could do. I forget the name of the aspect, but there's one, I think, that spawns Blood Orbs on corpse consumption, so that could be a huge thing as well. But for us, we're just gonna go start leveling up our minions here. We're gonna give our skeletal warriors way more life and way more damage. It makes them a lot tankier, lets us spawn more corpses, and do more damage. Again, the damage from, you know, the thing about this build is the damage from our minions and stuff is kind of not great, but we're still gonna kind of stick with the theme and buff them up as much as possible, even in the Paragon board later. But we also can't forget the main source of damage is going to be Bloodlands here. So, but we're gonna take a lot of the minion passives in this build. And then we're gonna go grab Grim Harvest. This is another one. If you're having essence problems, you could max this out. We're gonna be running Gravekeeper, I believe, later on, or at least in my variation, which is the glyph that gives you a multiplier depending on how many close corpses there are. My idea is to hopefully run that with like intercom, and as I move through packs with my Reapers, just spawn a bunch of corpses and get a lot of multipliers off that. But you could take this again if you wanted to go the corpse explosion route. This would synergize pretty well. And then Fueled by Death, we do consume corpses, not just corpse tendrils, but you know, occasionally we're raising skeletons to heal our minions and stuff like that. So that's great. 9x multiplier. Even if, you know, your goal with this is to try at least, you know, raise one corpse or consume one corpse once every 6 seconds. That's a big damage multiplier. So moving on from that, we're not going to take any curse skills. We're just going to do more passives in the curse node. So we're going to go Death's Reach, 12x to distant enemies. This is one that's you kind of have to pay attention to. Again, my goal is to eventually kind of get this build to work with intercom and be a more stationary casting build. Unfortunately, the AI with the minions right now doesn't really tend to allot for that too well, but you know, I'm pretty sure I can make it work. It's still good. 12x for majority of the time, I'd say, is pretty good, but something you have to pay attention to if you're not used to that playstyle. More minion buff, it's great. Mages, we're taking both the aspects that increase how many warriors and mages we have, so that's great. The next node's a big one. We're gonna go in, we're gonna grab corpse tendrils, and then we're gonna grab blighted corpse tendrils for the chance to spawn a blood orb. Again, blood orbs are a huge part of this build. We want to be spawning as many as we possibly can, so that's big. And it also does a nice pull for our blood wave. So I'll show you a good variation with this build that's has a bit more emphasis on blood wave. That's something I think would work really well as well with some aspects. We're also going to take all of the blood passives in this node. So Gruesome Mending, excuse me, Gruesome Mending is kind of meh. Like, you don't, if you feel like you need the healing, sure. There's an aspect that this does synergize well with, but it's not worth losing points in any of these other nodes in my opinion. So Transfusion is huge. Lucky hit, chance to spawn blood orbs. We want to be looking for lucky hit on our gear for sure. This is a big one. Tides of Blood, really solid, huge damage boost. Coalesce Blood, great, and Drain Vitality, also pretty good. Fortify, we're going to try and scale some damage off Fortify, mostly in our Paragon a little bit later, but excuse me. Also a really solid one. Then we're going to come down and we're going to grab Blood Wave, and we're going to grab Supreme Blood Wave. Guaranteed 3 blood orbs, super strong. Blood Wave itself is a super strong ability, and also can have that chance to overpower with our stacks here, and it really does kind of chunk. And then all the other passives in this node are just going to be minion buffs. I don't take the healing one just because I haven't tended to need it yet, but what we are going to take is Golem Mastery, Inspiring Leader, Hellbent Commander, and Death's Defense. Just really solid minion passes all around. And then finally we are taking Wrathman's Vigor, of course. You know, full summoner build. I was messing around with Kylan's Edict. The guaranteed overpower is just too good, especially with this build where we're scaling a lot off overpower. Paragon I'm not going to get into too much because this is a lower level build. I will link my current D4 planner and my idea for what I want to do. This is where I've started off. You know, blood begets blood is super strong for a build, and you know, I think the Paragon board will only make this build much stronger as you kind of go forth. I don't even have missing pretty much all the glyphs that I need still, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the skill tree. I'm gonna get into aspects real quick, and I'm gonna show you some variation, mostly with blood wave that you can do, and then I'm gonna tell you what aspects are definitely priority. I won't get into uniques too much, even though I did get a unique that works pretty well with this build. I'll mention it, but not gonna get too deep into uniques and like min-maxing. This is just, I mostly want to tell you guys what aspects you like 100% need for this build to really kind of come online, and then I'll go into some nice additives and other aspects that will just make you exponentially stronger. So first, we want to be trying to run both the increase your mages, the amount of mages and warriors you have by 2. The warriors one is definitely one that you could do without. You'll see when we get to our special Book of the Dead, sorry. When we get to our Book of the Dead, you'll see why. But warriors, the biggest benefit we really get from them is going to be the chance to spawn a corpse, which is mostly just for bossing. We don't have any way to spawn corpses on bosses aside from that. So this is one that you could do without. You'll still probably be spawning enough corpses on bosses without the 2 extra warriors. Mages, on the other hand, is going to be a big source of our essence gain, so we definitely want that, as well as I want to say they do a bit more damage, but I haven't looked into it too far. But chest piece, I just got this Blood Artisan's Curse, and oddly enough, it's pretty decent for this build. It's not amazing, but Bone Spirit is a strong ability right now. So if you get this, great, you could run it. If not, there's plenty of other aspects you could fill it in with. I would recommend probably a defensive one towards the higher levels. Juggernaut's okay, but maybe something like Disobedience would be good. I'm gonna kind of show you the right way to put the aspects on. This is one where you could put this on a different piece, but Hungry Blood, this is one you can pick up from the Codex. This is one of the ones that you absolutely do need. This is gonna basically turn our Blood Lance into AoE, which is huge. If it casts another Blood Lance once you hit an enemy that's Lance already. This is a little bit less relevant once you kind of get your overpower up and running more, but still super strong. It's one of the things that kind of makes our build, our lances AoE, and it's pretty big. So I would recommend grabbing this from the Codex, and this is one of the first things that you're going to run. The next one that is really going to help our Blood Lance kind of be an AoE ability is the Gore Quills, and I don't think this is a Codex one, so hopefully you can find it. I got a max roll one, which is why I still have a 342 ring, so I think this is the only one I've found so far, but this is really huge, and this is why we want to be spawning as many blood orbs as we can. We have other things that use blood orbs for sure, but this is the main one. So when you cast a Blood Lance, it's going to consume a blood orb to also conjure more lances, and each one is going to deal 50% of normal damage and prioritizes targeting unlanced enemies, which is a huge aspect of that. So this is kind of what enables you to deal with packs quickly, and move through content quickly. So these two combined are huge. I'd say those are probably the two ones you want to focus on the most. Most of the rest of the aspects are going to be focusing on scaling overpower damage and stuff like that. So I'll go through the rest of those real quick. Consuming a corpse has a 26% chance to spawn a blood orb. This is definitely not needed for this variation of the build. This would be great in a corpse explosion version of this build, which might even be a bit stronger. I haven't tested it, but so far I'm liking corpse sentinels. But this would be, I could easily right now just swap corpse sentinels for corpse explosion and probably do very well. but that would again negate the like the Gravekeeper glyph and stuff that I want to be running a little bit later, and kind of my idea for the build. So, but still good to have right now. You know, I do consume a decent amount of corpses, so any chance to spawn an extra blood orb is great. I say these are the two you want on your weapons, and you don't want to be running Scythe. You definitely want Wand. I'm running Scythe because I got this aspect on it. So Untimely Death is going to be big. So the blood orbs are going to overheal us when you pick them up. So we're constantly spawning blood orbs, and then our gore quills is using those blood orbs, consuming them for us, so you don't have to run over and grab the blood orbs. And this is going to heal us and basically increase the amount of our next overpower by up to a 60% multiplier, which is huge. This is really gonna help us with bosses and elites. It's just a huge bonus to our overpower damage. So this is a great one to have. And the multiplicative stuff I've always put it on my weapons, the biggest damage multipliers. So it's gonna be Untimely Death and then Blood Seekers, which is just raw damage multiplier. I guess this is definitely gonna scale really well off gore quills and stuff like that. But this is a pretty big multiplier as well. And then Band of Potent Blood, this is another one you can get in the Codex. Really big for Essence. We have kind of three main sources of gaining Essence, and this is one of them. At a certain point, when you get enough Essence cost reduction or resource generation, you might be able to drop this. That's going to be towards the later game, but for now, this is a good source of it. So while healthy, blood orbs grant essence. We're generally pretty healthy, and that's another reason why we want Fortify, just help keep us kind of healthy. We do have a couple other things that rely on us being healthy, and then with the variation of running intercom and stuff like that, you're probably going to be good most of the time. The Golem, I have him on blood right now, but you could have him on taunt. I think that might be a bit better, especially for like an intercom healthy build. And then finally we have Grasping Veins. This is another one where it's just a solid damage multiplier. If you have this, probably put it on your neck or one of your weapons. 39x multiplier for any enemy damage by corpse tendrils. So solid. The other aspects I'm gonna show you real quick, and I'll throw them up on the screen here in just a second. Title Band. So this one, I think I might end up replacing. I might try the running Title Band with this build, because the fact that our Blood Wave guarantees blood orbs is huge. The thing about Tidal Wave is, if you're going to run Tidal Wave, I would definitely recommend running something like Fast Blood, because then our build kind of shifts to be more focused on Blood Wave, and that's fine. I love this ability, and it guarantees blood orbs. This is something I haven't messed around with too much, but I'm assuming it would be very strong. You know, picking up the blood orbs is going to reduce our blood wave cooldown, and then blood wave would spawn 2 additional blood waves. As of right now at this level, like my blood wave pretty much one shots or does really chunks packs. So the typical thing is you're gonna pull everything in with corpse tendrils like an elite pack, and then you're gonna blood wave over it, and that's usually enough to pretty much kill it. But I'd say if you're progressing later on, doing higher nightmare tier dungeons, this might be a variation that you might want to try, and I feel like it would be pretty solid. So that's pretty much it for the aspects, guys. Let me real quick go over essence and how we're really keeping our sustain with our resource. So the first thing is the Book of the Dead. So warriors, we're running Reaper to have a chance again for the corpses to spawn when we're doing bosses. Otherwise, we have really no way of spawning corpses with bosses, which means we're missing out on our damage multiplier from our passives, and we're also missing out on like chance to raise skeleton or use corpse tendrils, which is even more damage multipliers and potential blood orbs. So this is definitely a go-to for our warriors. For our mages though, we are running cold, and we're running the essence gain cold ability, and that's going to be one of our 3 main sources of resource. Obviously the first one being our ring potent blood, but that's going to be the next one. And then just to show you Golem, I'm running blood right now just for the damage increase. This is something you feel free to mess around with. Vulnerable might work. We don't really, we are going to run exploit, but blood seems to work pretty well for me right now. But you can kind of feel free to mess around with the Golem. Honestly, a Golem hasn't been super impressive for me. I like the blood one because it's just more AoE, but the third essence gain that we have is going to be our construct resource support. Ideally this would be Tempest, and again, I'm not going to go too deep into the seasonal stuff, but you know, Flash of Adrenaline is always great with Tempest. Those are usually my 2 go-to. But right now I'm running lightning bolt with resource support, and those 3 together are enough to really kind of sustain. It's not like 100% sustain, but it's a good like 90%, where I might have to throw in a hemorrhage here and there. If you do have to hemorrhage, just kind of try and keep an eye on your stacks, and make sure they're not at 12 when you hemorrhage, if you can help it. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but that's pretty much the build guide, guys. I'm going to show you kind of real quick how it operates. It's, you know, there's a lot going on. Just the main things to remember are going to be like, you know, every couple of seconds try and raise a corpse or corpse tendrils. When you corpse tendrils, a blood wave after that, everything's pulled in, and it's pretty much guaranteed blood wave. Otherwise, you're kind of just spamming blood lance, corpse tendrils, and yeah, it's been super solid so far. I'm having a ton of fun with it. There's probably a lot of things I'm going to change. I just wanted to give you guys a guide if anyone's interested in running a summoner bloodlance build, and this is kind of my take on it, and something I kind of came up with, and I've just been having a blast with it so far. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and if you want to see any more necro stuff, you know, I'm definitely going to be playing this guy more, you know, as me and my girlfriend kind of progress through World Tier 3 and 4 and start getting into the uber bosses and stuff like that. I might do another endgame guide if I'm still playing this build, or if I change it up, I'll definitely let you guys know. But yeah, I appreciate your guys' time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.